Tennessee This Week from WATE's 6 on Your Side starts now.
Coming up on Tennessee This Week, a president remembered, the life and legacy of George H.W. Bush. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Bo Williams, filling in for Kristen Farley. Well, we're going to take some time today to remember the 41st president of the United States, George H.W. Bush. And we'll start things off with ABC's David Muir as he looks back at his life and legacy.
George Herbert Walker Bush, America's 41st president. Born June 12, 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts, one of 5 children. He was the son of a banker and a politician. He would later meet the love of his life, Barbara Pierce, at a Christmas dance. He was the first boy she would kiss. The following year, on his 18th birthday, George enlisted in the war, becoming the youngest pilot in the U.S. Navy. While overseas, George and Barbara would keep up their long-distance romance with love letters to his darling Bar. 2 years in on his 50th mission, he was shot down over the Pacific.
I knew if I wasn't rescued, I would be captured, and it was a harrowing experience.
But he was rescued, and he made it home to Barbara. He attended Yale. He was the captain and first baseman of the baseball team. He and Barbara would have 6 children, George, Jeb, Marvin, and Neil, and 2 daughters, Dorothy and Robin, who died of leukemia at the age of 3 in 1953. It was a loss that broke both of them.
He was very close.
I was very close to her.
She adored him.
What was it that pulled you back up on your feet afterwards?
He was very strong then. He was wonderful.
They had moved the family to Texas, where he ran a successful oil business. And then he would enter politics.
George Bush, the happy family man, is now George Bush, Republican candidate for the United States Senate.
He would later run for president in 1980.
That's why I want to be president. I need your help. That's why I think I will be.
But Ronald Reagan would win the nomination and the presidency. He would serve 8 years as his loyal vice president, and then he would run again, and he won as a moderate.
I want a kinder and gentler nation.
As president, when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, it was George H.W. Bush who pulled together a coalition of allies, launching Operation Desert Storm.
Kuwait is liberated. Iraq's army is defeated. Our military objectives are met.
But with the economy being tested, there was a promise he made 4 years earlier that would come back to haunt him when he ran for re-election.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
He would lose to Bill Clinton, and it stung, describing the loss to Diane Sawyer.
I just had a great feeling of letting down a lot of people that worked for me. You have this ghastly feeling you let them down, and then you get over it, and you go on with your life.
He would leave a letter for Bill Clinton, writing, "I never felt the loneliness some presidents have described. I wish your family well. Your success is now our country's success. I am rooting hard for you." He would later build an unlikely friendship, a bond with the man who beat him. Together with Bill Clinton, they would raise money for the victims of the tsunami and here at home after Katrina.
I think it sent a good sign across the country that you don't have, because you run against somebody, it doesn't make you an enemy.
After his presidency, George H.W. Bush would continue to endear himself to the American people, proving he was forever young, jumping from a plane on his birthday. He and Barbara were married 73 years, the longest of any president and first lady, and we would learn he was holding her hand until the very end. He bid farewell to his beloved Barbara, the Clintons, the Obamas, and First Lady Melania Trump by his side, and Barbara Bush revealing along the way how she would want her husband remembered.
He is the most decent, honorable, wonderful. Nobody's ever been as lucky as I've been. I want people to remember him as courageous. I want them to remember him as he is.
As he sat before his wife, there was sadness, but not fear, as he once told Diane.
I do think that you go to heaven, there is a heaven, and I don't fear it, though. When I was a little guy, I'd fear death. I'd worried about it, be scared. Not anymore.
Now, following the president's death, WATE 6 on Your Side reporter Elizabeth Kubel looked back into our vault, remembering times when Mr. Bush visited Knoxville.
Knoxville, a place the late George H.W. Bush visited several times in his lifetime. Visits we've captured over the years. A stop on his campaign trail in 1980. This student meet and greet 10 years later.
To thank you on behalf of our team and the University of Tennessee, we'd like to present you with this basketball.
Even shooting some hoops with the Lady Vols in 1991. Many witnessing the days from the sidelines, but not as many with an up-close and personal view. A view Knoxville's former mayor had.
President Bush, I've known since the 70s.
Ties that date back to Victor Ashe's college days. He went to school with the second President Bush.
President Bush, or 43 as he's called, was very close to his father, and as well as to his mother. They were, a marriage that lasted 73 years. When Barbara Bush died back in April, I don't know that it was a big surprise that President Bush wanted to join her.
Ashe remembering George H.W. Bush as kind, caring, and intelligent.
In the way he dealt with people, his opponents were never his enemies. And he could work across the aisle and work with people of different parties, different backgrounds, different ideologies, international areas of different religions, different parts of the world, and forged coalitions that were effective.
In Knoxville, Elizabeth Kubel, WATE 6 on Your Side.
And we should note, the life of a Knoxville soldier also crossing paths with President George H.W. Bush at a pivotal moment in his time as Commander-in-Chief. It's a story we revisited with WATE 6 on Your Side reporter Madison Keevey.
It was very otherworldly. It just didn't seem like it was really real.
The most memorable part for Elizabeth Phillips, hearing her uncle's name, his words on national TV from President George H.W. Bush.
Private First Class Wade Merritt of Knoxville, Tennessee, now stationed in Saudi Arabia, wrote his parents of his worries, his love of family, and his hope for peace. But Wade also wrote, "I am proud of my country and its firm stance against inhumane aggression. I am proud of my Army and its men. I am proud to serve my country."
Private First Class Wade Merritt didn't think he'd make it home from Saudi Arabia, Operation Desert Shield. His mother was so moved by his letter, she sent it to the White House.
I mean, who are we? We're nobody in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he was the President of the United States during a crisis. I mean, we never would have imagined that he would have even got anywhere near him. He wrote a letter that inspired a president to inspire a nation during a time of war.
We've met this family before. Our cameras were there as they watched from East Tennessee.
We were very surprised because a lot of people write letters and that he picked Wade. As soon as we got the letter, we realized that it was very touching, and we thought it was real touching, and we're just really proud of it.
The days following, a media frenzy. This interview with ABC's Good Morning America.
I would like to thank the President for bestowing this honor on Wade, and also my parents. It's made them tremendously proud.
Merritt there too by satellite.
I was thinking not only myself but of all my fellow comrades in arms that we were fixing to go into a dangerous situation, one that we were uncertain of, but one that we were ready to take part in and do our best.
The news of President Bush's death personal to this family because of the kindness he showed when he didn't have to.
Made such a difference to Wade, to touch his life and to make such a big memory for just a regular person. And most people don't get any kind of experience like that. And he got to hold on to that his whole life and was always proud of that.
Now, last week we watched as the nation and its leaders paid their respects to the late president. We showed you thousands filing past the president's casket in the Capitol Rotunda and a state funeral at the National Cathedral, hearing from his son, the 43rd president, the younger Bush, recounting his father's final words, "I love you too," breaking down in tears as he delivered the eulogy.
And we're going to miss you. Your decency, sincerity, and kind soul will stay with us forever. So through our tears, let us know the blessings of knowing and loving you, a great and noble man, the best father a son or daughter could have. And in our grief, let us smile knowing that Dad is hugging Robin and holding Mom's hand again.
That touching sentiment reflected in a cartoon drawn by a UT graduate, Marshall Ramsey, from the Jackson, Mississippi Clarion Ledger, showing Bush's airplane from World War II landing in heavenly clouds, greeted by his wife Barbara and their daughter Robin. The message, "We waited for you." Well, still to come, our panel of pundits sharing their memories of Presidents George H.W. Bush. You're watching Tennessee This Week on WATE 6 on your side.